welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. Back again. We're getting pretty good at this, Dan, aren't we? It's getting frequent. As always, I'm with my good friend Dan Wiseman. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, good to see you, mate. Only a few days after the last one, but couldn't be happier to be here. Just when we think these transfer links can't get any more wild, we've got the two players which we'll be discussing later, which completely blow Trippier out the water, don't they?
Absolutely, mate. And you guys listening will have obviously seen them in the title, but we'll get on to them later. There is an important issue that we need to talk about. Well, there's a few important issues, actually. But, first of all, we will start with Jack Grealish's omission from the England squads. Frustrating on many levels because he's outperformed all English midfielders in the league. He's been Villa's talisman, kept us up single-handedly, scored the goal on the final day to kind of seal our safety. And it just kind of leaves the question, really, what more can Jack do? And I guess the immediate answer to that is nothing, because it's clear Southgate just doesn't rate him as a bloke. I can't see any other reason why it can't be based on footballing ability, because if it was, Dan, I think he'd have been in the squad even, around October, November time for them kind of friendlies, Dan.
Yeah, for sure, mate. That is, first things first, shout out to Villa fans for the meltdown. It was impeccable. Absolutely incredible. Every man and his dog that had anything to do with the Villa was giving the England FA absolute pelters on Twitter, Instagram, you name it. So first of all, well done to all of us, because that's probably the best I've seen since Palace.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable. If there's one thing you can rely on the Villa fan base for, it's having a good old moan, and we proved ourselves yet again. So, yeah, well, applause to everyone. Second of all, I was going to come on this podcast and basically do the same, mate. I was just going to give Gareth Southgate pelters. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the voice of reason, or try to be the voice of logic. And I was going, just take a step back and perhaps look at the reasons why we've not seen Jack called up, basically. So if you look at England kind of post the World Cup, it's been pretty good on the whole. The form has been good. We did well in the Nations League, losing that third place playoff. It was all, pretty swimming. But then we lost to the Czech Republic, if you remember, back in October, which sort of shook things up a little bit. And Southgate then had a rethink. So he switched to a 4-3-3 after that game with no 10. So it's a sort of holding midfield three, and you're playing a 6 and 2 8s instead of a 10. And since then, England have won their last three games with an aggregate score of 17-0, albeit against Bulgaria, Montenegro and Kosovo.
Yep.
But a 17-0 win, aggregate over those three games suggests that this is what Southgate's going to be going with going forward. And I think with the inclusion of Eric Dyer, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, don't even get me talking about that last one, mate. That seems to be what Southgate's going with, which means that Jack would fit into that. Although Jack actually fancies himself as an 8, and we've seen him say that could potentially be his best position, it seems like Southgate's looking at him as a forward where, as we all know, across that England front line, there's some pretty good wingers, especially on that left side, mate.
Yep.
There's not a single real 10 in the squad. I'm not sure Foden and Mount will grow to be true number 10s. That Jack is that sort of float in that division between the final and the middle third and create for the striker. But if it is being judged as a winger, then I think that's why we've seen him miss out, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, we can kind of get over him not being in the squad. Like, I'm not being funny. I've always been club over country. And I'm sure Jack will be now as well. But it's the comments and it's the arrogance of Southgate that really gets me. Everybody knows what he said. Jack can't play because he's in the Championship, and now we've got Calvin Phillips and Jack Butland went before. Butland was a bit more understandable, if we're being fair, as he'd been in and around the setup for a long time. So I could understand that one, but. Look, Phillips deserves a shout. Who are we to sit here and deprive Calvin Phillips of an England call-up when he's probably better than Declan Rice, your Eric Dyers and Harry Winkses, who have all been called up in the same position. But it's just a hypocrisy, and it's then what he's come out and said afterwards. He said it's not about the club because he's picked Ty, and then he makes it about himself and his transfer to Middlesbrough, which I think it just tells you everything you need to know about Southgate, to be honest. This guy is a yes man. He's picking the people who are easiest to pick. He's clearly had an issue with Grealish in the past at the under-21s, which, you know, has probably unfairly judged his character, because Jack has changed a lot since then. And to be honest, mate, if you can't deal with the egos and the personalities in the squad, I don't think you're up for the job, because you don't see the Brazil manager not picking Neymar or players like that, do you? You can't not take your best players. And I think, you know, the less we say about this now, the better. We've got it out of our systems. I saw a few people came to vent in the comments of the last podcast, so we appreciate that for you guys. It's frustrating, but we've got to move on, because this is no longer about Jack's ability as a footballer. And that is clear to see. Another issue I did want to talk about, probably should have opened with this one actually, it's a lot more important. The boycott of the NBA and the women's NBA. Very important that people are doing this. Obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks were the first team to do it, I believe. You know, all in light of the recent shootings in America, which, you know, we've talked about on the podcast before, and people have said, you know, stick to sports. But, you know, it's times like this where, you know, sports transcends, you know, there's greater issues. And, you know, the Milwaukee Bucks, and I believe the Magic, who they were playing last night, you know, there's more important matters, and Wes Edens is obviously owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. So regardless of this being a humanitarian issue, this is a Villa issue as well. So it's, you know, it's just important that these kind of boycotts and strikes, whatever you want to call them, happen, because change needs to happen. And you know, it's shocking that we're still here and seeing videos of, you know, teenagers with, you know, white teenagers with assault rifles and gunning down, you know, young black men, and even the cops who put 7 bullets in the back of that black man the other day. It's shocking, and, you know, it's absolutely disgusting. So massive kudos to the NBA and the WNBA for doing that. Me and Dan have had many conversations, you know, off camera about the NBA and how forward thinking they are, and how you're just, you know, freely able to express and stand up for what you believe for. So again, shout out to the NBA, Wes Edens, Milwaukee Bucks, everyone who is supporting this, because it's a really important issue.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's, you know, people. I was looking at the responses to the decision that the Bucks made last night, and so many people were saying, you know, you're assigned a job, you're there to play basketball. You know, you're use. You know, the NBA is majority black. Use those great talents and the skills that you've been blessed with in a positive light, and play the game. It's going in completely the wrong direction to not play that. And you just see people attacking the decision and stuff like that. And look, I was sat there, TV on, ready to watch that 9 o'clock game. You know, Giannis had just been named Defensive Player of the Year, and I was like, yeah, you know, this is going to be. And then the Magic came out to warm up, and the Bucks didn't, and then the Magic went off, and then the Rockets Thunder game was called off, and then the Blazers Lakers game was called off. It's postponed. And I just wonder, yeah, it's an extremely bold and brave move to. It's not just regular season games; that it's playoffs. There's talks about whether they cancel the whole thing altogether, and it's just, you know, if to those people that don't think it was the right thing to do, that think that the players stick to basketball, what else do these young black men, especially, you know, because it was in Wisconsin, the shooting of Jacob Blake, it's just 40 miles from the Bucks Arena. What else do these young guys do? What other stance are they supposed to make? You know, do they go and conform and please the people and again, you know, put out for the nation of America, which lets them down so frequently by putting on an amazing playoff game? Or do they make a stand like this, be different, just dare to do? And yeah, I completely stand with them, and I back every decision that they make, whatever happens from here on in, mate. And football, you know, did its bit when the Premier League restarts, but you know, it's a sport that's by no means in the clear, and it's good to see that we haven't forgotten about these issues, mate.
Absolutely, and yeah, as we've both said, really, just massive respect to the teams, to the NBA, to the women's NBA as well, because they've also done the same. important that we do highlight that. And now we'll get into, the main crux of the podcast, the exciting stuff. And, there have been two very big links. Names have been touted coming to Villa, to that, we've just got to say right off the bat, don't think they're going to happen. Please indulge us. Let us have this. We're going to talk about, obviously, Gonzalo Higuain and Edinson Cavani, two huge strikers in the European game, both, let's say, probably in the twilight stages of their career. We'll start with Gonzalo Higuain because he has played in the Premier League, albeit only 14 times. He signed for Chelsea on loan. I believe it was under Sarri just before their transfer ban, and I believe there was an option to sign him permanently, but he only scored 5 goals in his short spell at Stamford Bridge. Cavani, Higuain, he is a Galactico. He's played for Real Madrid. He has been quite underrated at Real Madrid, actually, I'd say as well. He'd been there for quite a while, played 190 games and scored 107 goals. And if you look at his career and where he's played, he's roughly getting 1 in 3, which isn't a bad record, really. I think everybody knows what Higuain's about. He's a poacher. He's a fox in the box. He's not very mobile, not going to move a lot. But he's a Champions League winner. He is a Scudetto winner. He is La Liga winner. When you're talking about serial winners, this guy has won it all, Dan, and it's an exciting link for sure. But I mean, I was saying to you last night, and I know you disagree with me. I'm just not sure it would work, Dan. Like, I'm really not.
It's an interesting one, mate. And look, I'm a bit hesitant to sort of get on board with these rumours just because they do appear ludicrous. But they don't really fit the profile of players that we've been going for. But there comes a moment where if these players are available for as little fees as they're being talked about, then why not? Why not? Because at the very least, you put yourself in the ring, and if it makes it out to the press, which I understand isn't really Villa's idea with these transfers, that's not what they want to be doing. But if it does get out to the press, and it's a statement of intent, it helps other players look at it and go, oh my God, Villa are a serious club. Like, where we've had incidents where like Rashika has been a bit 50-50, doesn't really want to get himself into a relegation battle. If he then sees that we're being linked to Cavani, Higuain, even if they don't come off, even if they are nothing more than a pipe dream, it shows our intent and it allows other players, and most importantly, the fans, to believe in this club and the direction that we want to take it in.
Yeah.
So just to kind of fill people in on what's happened with Gonzalo. So he's 32. So, it's not quite retirement years yet. He's still got a further year left on his Juventus contract. So unlike Cavani, who we'll talk about later, he's not a free agent. So he's essentially his dad at this point. Sarri takes him wherever he goes. The two absolutely love it. Obviously, Sarri was sacked following Juve's exit from the Champions League. And Pirlo comes in and says that Gonzalo Higuain and Sami Khedira are surplus to requirements and are going to be sold. So Pirlo confirmed this in a press conference, calling him a great champion, a great player, but said that the cycle was over, which when you consider how good Dybala and Ronaldo have been this season, it makes sense. Those two seems to be the attacking forward. It's difficult to remove that period from Chelsea from the mind. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. He got 5 goals in his 14 appearances, some of which were substitutes. It wasn't a great... Sarri ball wasn't in full effect. Stamford Bridge was divided on him. It wasn't a great... Chelsea did finish 3rd in the league that season. They won the Europa League. I think they got to the League Cup final as well. But it wasn't there wasn't that feel-good factor around Stamford Bridge that there is now under Lampard. So, you can't really forgive him too much for not succeeding in there. Calcio Mercato, who's one of the bigger newspapers in Italy, have confirmed that, they've said that Villa, Newcastle, West Ham and New Boys Fulham are interested in Higuain. There could be a fee involved. I don't think it would be very much, to considering Juve are trying to get him off the books. I think, honestly, if you put about 15 million, 20 million at most to Juventus, then I think, that's 20, 25 million euro. Then I do think that could tempt Juve. And, it's not one where it's not. Gonzalo Higuain is going to leave Juventus this summer. He's not going to go to another European powerhouse. Your Bayern Munich's, PSG's. That's not going to happen. They're not going to take a club of that stature isn't going to put Higuain into their attack at this age. So he's going to have to step down a mantle, and it's one of those where would you want to go to the MLS? Go to Falcao's gone to Galatasaray. Would you want to go to I'm seeing James Rodriguez linked to Everton. Do you want to go to the MLS? Do you want to go to Turkey at this age? Admittedly, they're great moves later on in career, but when you're 32, you've still got another year, maybe 2 left to give. Is it not worth a chance?
Jamie Vardy's just got a new contract at Leicester, and he's going to turn 36 this year. So obviously,
Exactly.
2 very different players, but it's definitely something to ponder, Dan. And I don't know, it's a gamble. Whatever happens, it's a gamble, and as you say, it's a statement signing as well. If you can sign a Gonzalo Higuain, you can guarantee you're going to make near the transfer fee back on shirts. And that is, whilst as you say, it doesn't necessarily fit the profile. If we can cover that transfer on shirt sales alone, because I know you and I will be down to the Villa Park store to get a Gonzalo Higuain shirt. Of course we will. I'll get him on all of the shirts. That's going to be like a collector's item. But I don't know. I'm not going to. We can't say no because we've got Keenan Davis and Ali Samatta up front, and Big Wes is injured, and we know if you're new to the podcast, Dan and I love Big Wes, and a move like this as well. It could be useful for these kinds of strikers. Wes and Keenan are very similar to Higuain. I'm not going to say they're the same kind of striker because I think you could argue that we're in better shape than Gonzalo. I hope that wouldn't be the case if we'd signed him. But, again, we're at this point where I don't think we can turn our nose up at anything. When you look at the clubs he's played for, River Plate, Real Madrid, Napoli, Juventus, Milan and Chelsea, he's played for huge clubs. So it is time he makes a step down. But he could do worse than coming to the Villa, Dan. He really could. And again, it would just be an interesting one to see Higuain heading home crosses from Anwar El Ghazi and Trezeguet. It would be a sight to behold, man. It really would be. And I guess we'll move on to Cavani because he's probably the more exciting of the two for a whole number of reasons. First, as you touched on, being a free transfer. I think there's an argument as well for Cavani being still at the peak of his powers at the moment as well. It's very surprising he's let his PSG contract run down. He's played a lot of minutes for PSG over the past few years. Again, another player who's played for Napoli. He's played in the Serie A. He's played in the French League. Was linked with a move to Leeds. That seems to have fallen through. I can't see that happening, to be honest, especially as they're on the verge of signing Rodrigo and seemingly breaking the bank for that. But Cavani is someone who I can get excited for, Dan. I look at him. He's physically he's fitter than Gonzalo. Again, no slander on Gonzalo. If we sign Gonzalo, I'm going to be absolutely over the moon, off my tits. But there's no argument when it comes to physicality. Even minutes played recently, Cavani edges it, Dan. And I think, to be honest, Cavani would actually fit the system more because he is that bit more dynamic. He is a target man. He likes to hold the ball up. Very much, a fox in the box as well. But I would say he is a lot more mobile than Gonzalo. Yeah.
This one is one that pretty economically. So he is on a free transfer. Those eagle-eyed listeners and viewers will have realised he didn't feature at all in this August Champions League period. His contract ran down with Thiago Silva's. Thiago Silva is set to leave, but he featured in the Champions League run. Cavani did not. So he joined PSG from Napoli way back in 2013. It was a 65 million euro on a 5-year deal. Just an absolute bits for Palermo, I believe, and then Napoli. So he comes into PSG. He's been there ever since, obviously. 6 Ligue 1 titles, 5 Coupe de France, 5 Coupe de la Ligas followed. He's PSG's all-time top goal scorer. He did that in just 229 matches, scoring 157 goals in those 229 matches. So he's now 33. He's got all these amazing accolades behind him. He's got these young guns like, well, Neymar's not even that young anymore. He'll almost be 30, which is scary.
Yeah.
But he's got Mbappe and Neymar. Di Maria has played a lot of football for PSG. Obviously, they've just signed Icardi as well. And Cavani sort of found himself being, at the age of 32, ushered slowly towards the bench. He only featured 14 times in La Liga this season. 2 weeks ago, it looked set that a deal to Benfica was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was doing a bit of research. There was all those, you see them on YouTube, don't you? Edinson Cavani, welcome to Benfica, goals and assists. All those videos were being posted. And it just never happened. He's also apparently turned down Juventus out of respect for former club Napoli, which is not something Gonzalo Higuain ever took into account. Probably more loyal of the two. But there's avenues that have closed. Benfica is a no. Juventus is a no. So again, he's going to have to be looking around. He's a free agent. He's going to sign for a club. It's like Higuain, where it's not like one where we might just see him tomorrow sign a new contract at Higuain's case, Juventus, or Cavani's PSG. These players are going to be leaving their clubs this summer. They're going to be looking for new avenues. And, man, I watched Moutinho and Rui Patricio sign for a newly promoted Wolves. As I said, Falcao has gone to Galatasaray. You wind it back even further. All the players that went to Russia and applied their trade there. You think Holte, Eto'o, and the like, and you think, well, why not? As I said, James Rodriguez might be signing for Everton, and they're a side that finished only a few places higher than us. They don't have the financial powers that we do because they're building the Bramley-Moore docks and stuff like that. And if they have the financial capabilities to pull off a deal of this size, then why can't we? I watched John Terry make the step down from Chelsea to the Championship to play for Aston Villa. I know he wasn't great, but Robert Pires.
Yeah.
Pulled on the current blue of Aston Villa. We're a club who have attracted some very big names in the not so distant past. And look, these two would definitely top the likes of a 37-year-old Terry and a very washed Robert Pires. But mate, they're going to be leaving their clubs this season. They might have to take a step down from the elite stage to find their moves. I think both of them are perhaps a little bit too early for an MLS or a move back to their home countries or something like that. That final get the bag move of a player's career, which, hey, I love. And I would love to see players make the step over to MLS. I always enjoy when they do. But for a player, as you said, like Cavani, who's still at the peak of his powers, feels a little bit too early for that. And look, mate, as I said, worth a gamble.
Everybody wants to play in the Premier League, Dan. That is a fact. And at any opportunity given, whether Higuain came and played 14 games on loan for Chelsea, you've just got to look at that really, and that tells you all you need to know. Players like Cavani don't necessarily fit the mould of what is now the desirable Premier League striker. That can't really be contested. He's not pacey. He's not, eloquent on the ball in that sense, but could certainly do a job in the Premier League. And, he's been playing his trade in Italy and France for the past 15 years of his career. Why not come and play in England and have a go? Regardless of who that's for. Obviously, I hope he doesn't end up going to Newcastle or anyone like that. But if that was me, I'd be thinking, yeah, why not? Like, I'd go give it a go, even if it is just for a year. And what the good thing about that is, if you can tie them down to like at least a 2-year contract, even if you only have, if you've decided they're only going to play for a year. You can then still sell them on, and you can try. You can make back what you've lost on the wages. So it seems like a no-brainer, really, Dan. It really does. I'd love Cavani again, another one who's going to make back the fee for wages in shirt sales. You're going to see kids all around the Birmingham area donning a Cavani shirt, and adults like us, Dan. So it's, for me. It seems great. It seems maybe a tad unrealistic, but if we could pull that off, it would be absolutely insane. Another transfer news as well, as we were talking about Juventus, it seems like my guy Weston is going to Juve, a £3 million loan deal with an 18 million option to buy at the end. If I'm honest, it doesn't seem like a good move for him. Juventus don't tend to do well with their younger players. but gutted to miss that one out. And as well, another random one, Dan. I don't know if you saw this before hopping on the podcast. Conor Hourihane's agent has been contacted by Trabzonspor, I believe, for a move out to Turkey.
Did not see this.
No. So, very random move. Trabzonspor must have a scout permanently sat in the Holte end, because they're always linked with whether it's Kodja or Davis or now Hourihan. A very, very random move, Dan.
Yeah, but that is surprising. I hadn't actually seen that one. It's one that the one thing I want to say is that I really like what kind of seems to, we saw, I don't know if you saw that interview he did the other day where he was talking about, he doesn't think that some players that we've signed have had the psychological ability to handle the step up and match the expectations or what it means to play for a club like Villa. And look, Conor Hourihan divides opinion in terms of what he does on the pitch. I'm a fan of Conor. I like what he does. We wouldn't be in the Premier League if we didn't have Conor Hourihan. Everyone talks about the value that we got for John McGinn, but 3 years ago we signed Conor Hourihan for £2 million, and I struggle to think of a better bit of business that this club has done in the last 5-10 years than that, in terms of the goals and assists and the crucial moments that he's given us. And I still think he's got something to offer to this club. He's earned his right to stay. I don't think he'll be making a move to Turkey. If he did, I'd be very surprised. I wish him all the best. Apparently the weather's very nice out there at this time of year. But stick to the Premier League, please, Conor. You've still got something to offer us. I've still got to see a few free kicks float over the wall and into the back of the net before you wave goodbye.
Absolutely, he has got an elite mentality, and long time listeners of the podcast will know my feelings on Conor Hourihan. But you can't knock that mentality. He is, he's a strong man, to say the least. But I'd say that's a good note to end the podcast on, Dan. Plenty of interesting rumours, as we've kind of touched on. Hopefully, again, as we say at the end of all of these, we'll be back soon with an actual transfer, Dan. We're still waiting. I tempted fate with Ben Rama, trying to get ahead of the game. I made a thumbnail, like I did for Grealish for England, which I didn't mention at the top, actually. So I'm going to put that thumbnail over while I'm speaking now, because you guys need to see this, because that's my best thumbnail yet.
It's a beauty.
Thanks, Dan. So, I can't make it and not have people see it. I think I've tweeted it out about 5 times because I'm just so desperate for people to see it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, please do hit the like button, comment your thoughts below. As always, replying to all the comments. We're really interested to hear about what you guys have to say in regards to transfers, who we've been linked with, and just general things about Villa. The support has, yet again been absolutely amazing. We hit 2,100 subscribers a week after we hit 2,000, which, we can only thank you guys for that. For those of you who listened to the whole way through, just comment below and let us know you've listened all the way. We do really appreciate the support, and subscribe for more. This is only the beginning, really, of the podcast. It's been reinvented a few times, and we're back now with regular podcasts for you guys, which you guys seem to be enjoying. So thank you guys, as always, for the support. Subscribe for more, and up the Villa.
Chester's essential. The fulfilling this got potential. It's a main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang. Chester. Chester. He's the main leader of the gang now.